The Varsity Cinema is fundraising after the Trump administration stopped a federal funding grant, the impact of screenings and community events. The deadline to get your real ID is only 2 days away. What road bumps you could face without one, and the documents you need to get it. The Varsity Cinema in Des Moines is scrambling to try and make up $20,000 in federal funding. The nonprofit movie theater was told its mission doesn't align with President Trump's priorities. Local 5's Alex Fulton shares what the cuts could mean for moviegoers.
Well, Stephanie, the grant from the National Endowment for the Arts makes up 2% of the Varsity Cinema's annual budget. While that doesn't sound like a lot, the loss of funding could mean the theater has to scale back some of its community events.
It's surprising, it's disappointing, but we just have to move forward.
Surprising news came to the Varsity Cinema on Friday. It learned it would no longer be getting a $20,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts.
This wasn't for some future grant that we're going to apply for, or next time you apply. It was for an already awarded grant.
The theater's executive director, Ben Godar, received this email. It states the endowment, quote, is focused on projects that reflect the nation's rich artistic heritage and creativity as prioritized by the president.
This is something that previously had been identified as, this is a priority, and this is something that the federal government supports. It's very abruptly now changed.
The federal funds helped pay for community events at the nonprofit movie theater. This included film screenings featuring guest speakers held in partnership with various community organizations.
It's not going to close us down, but any reduction in that contributed revenue, it does make it harder to do those community-focused events.
The loss of funding led the Varsity Cinema to turn to the community for help. So far, a fundraiser has already raised $10,000, half of the initial goal.
They've really stepped up, and that's fantastic, and we really appreciate that just ongoing and continued support from our audience.
Now, the Varsity Cinema isn't the only Iowa movie theater affected. Film Scene over in Iowa City lost its $30,000 grant through the National Endowment for the Arts. Stephanie?
Alex, thank you. And a shakeup tonight for the film industry as a whole after new tariff proposals from the president. The latest move is a proposed 100% tariff on all foreign-produced films. Still not clear on how it would be implemented, as some film productions are split between the U.S. and other countries. President Trump says it's an effort to make a positive impact on the American film industry.
I'm not looking to hurt the industry. I want to help the industry. But they're given financing by other countries. They're given a lot of things, and the industry was decimated.
Starting today, the U.S. Education Department is resuming collection on defaulted federal student loans. About 5 million borrowers now risk losing wages or other sources of income if they can't make those payments. They could also see a dip in their credit score. The payments were paused back in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. A federal judge has blocked a state law regulating the sale of e-cigarettes and vaping products. The law was signed last year and listed requirements for sale in Iowa. Products had to be marketed by August 2016. A product application also had to be sent to the FDA by September of 2020. The FDA had to then approve the product, and it had to be added to the state's vaping product registry. A U.S. district judge ruled on Friday that the law intrudes on federal authority to enforce the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act. This is the second delay for the law. A group of businesses sued in January, alleging it would hurt local businesses.
U.S. mail, not for sale! U.S. mail, not for sale!
The National Association of Letter Carriers is rallying against the privatization of the postal services. Branches of the organization hosted rallies across the country today. You're looking at demonstrators in the Windsor Heights neighborhood. Rallies like this one gained traction after the Trump administration proposed privatization earlier this year.
51.5 million households that are in rural communities would lose their guaranteed delivery. That's us, Iowa. This wouldn't just threaten every postal employee's job, but also the 7.9 million people that rely on the Postal Service.
The NALC says that anyone who wants to preserve the public service should contact their representatives. The post office in Charter Oak is open again after more than a year of being closed. Iowa Representative Randy Feenstra and his office have been pushing for it to reopen for months. In a statement today, Representative Feenstra said in part, quote, "In rural Iowa, we depend on the Postal Service to receive mail, get medications, and pay bills. And a prolonged closure like the one in Charter Oak denies Iowans of these critical services." A state senator is pushing to represent Iowa's 3rd congressional district in D.C. Senator Sarah Trone-Garriott announced she will challenge Representative Zach Nunn in the 2026 midterm election. According to her campaign website, the campaign is a continuation of her call to service. Trone-Garriott was first elected to the Iowa Senate in 2020. In 2024, she narrowly beat her Republican challenger for re-election. The National Republican Congressional Committee is responding to the announcement today. A spokesperson called Trone-Garriott out of touch, saying in part, quote, "Iowans want leaders who deliver common sense results." And that's exactly what they'll send Zach Nunn back to Congress. The Ankeny Community School District is trying to get a bond referendum on the November ballot. It started the process by launching a petition drive today. If the petition gets enough signatures and voters approve the bond, the money would be used to fund major projects. They include facility upgrades, new construction, and renovations. Petitions are available through August. You can find them at the front office in every school and district building. The Des Moines City Council voted to approve investments towards housing projects at its meeting tonight. $500,000 in funding was approved to help build Goldfinch Lofts on Ingersoll Avenue. Plans include building 28 affordable residential units. The council also approved $1 million authorized under the American Rescue Plan. The money will help the Starts Right Here program rehabilitate a building on the corner of East 9th and Des Moines Streets. The project will contain 18 single-room units. 5 will be considered affordable housing. Central Iowa Shelter and Services is trying to make more affordable housing in Windsor Heights. The organization wants to lease a home on 65th Street to make it shared housing. The housing would be for those experiencing homelessness and reentry from the prison system. 5 people would share an open concept home as well as an on-site case manager, a resident assistant, and peer support.
We want them to have that sense of community. We want them to be a part of this community. We want them to be in the park. We want them to show their faces. We want them to volunteer, however they can contribute.
All residents would go through an approval process through Central Iowa Shelters and Services. Next steps include holding a public hearing on the lease at a later date. Well, traveling through the 8035 interchange is now a bit more complicated. The Iowa DOT says the northbound on-ramp to 8035 from Hickman is off limits through mid-August. The northbound off-ramp from 8035 to Douglas is also closed. It's all because of the big construction project reshaping the Hickman Road interchange. There is a marked detour while the ramps are shut down. You can use Hickman, 128th Street, Douglas, Meredith, and 8035. A Wednesday is the deadline to have a real ID if you plan to fly domestically. And some DOT offices currently have up to 2.5-hour wait times just for walk-ins. Appointments are booked an average of 3 to 5 days out. On Wednesday, you'll be required to have a real ID to fly within the country. You can also use a passport to fly, but you need the license to enter a federal courthouse or a military base.
You can get a real ID at any time. So you can get one after May 7th still. And then if you're not traveling until later in the year, we suggest, make your appointment later in the year, get it at least 2 months in advance. And that way you can avoid some of that busyness right now.
Without a real ID, you can still drive, vote, visit the post office, and buy alcohol. Some busier DMV offices are opening earlier and closing later right now to offer more availability for appointments. Separately, the TSA says passengers who don't present a real ID or another form like a passport can expect to face delays and the possibility of not being allowed into the security checkpoint at the airport. As for getting the ID, there are certain documents you'll need to bring with you to the DMV. One that provides your identity and date of birth, one that proves your social security number, and 2 documents with your name and address to prove you're an Iowa resident. And for even more information on the Real ID, check out We Are Iowa Plus. We have a special episode of In the News Now tailored to Real ID, streaming as we speak. Just download on We Are Iowa Plus on your TV and start watching for free. A school construction project is changing lives in eastern Iowa. Coming up, how the hands-on experience is increasing interest in the trades.
This is Local 5 News. We are Iowa.
A house is now on the market thanks to a group of high school students. Linn-Mar and Marion Independent School Districts partnered with the City of Marion and Marion Economic Development Corporation to revitalize it. Libby Randall from our affiliate in Cedar Rapids shares how the experience has impacted one student's future.
I did a lot of the painting on that windowsill right there.
Just weeks away from graduation, Sam Dreyer knows where he's headed next.
This is closer to the middle of the room than this.
To pursue trades. An experience working to revitalize a local home only solidified that for the Marion High School seniors.
I'd say I'm actually pretty interested in doing this. I didn't know I enjoyed this until I started this class.
Through a partnership with the city, students worked years to put up drywall, install cabinets, paint, and put down flooring in this house. While one of the goals is to improve housing options in the area, it's also to encourage students to consider different paths after high school.
They get a taste of what the building trades are all about, and it makes them much more employable for a skill set of employers that are demanding that young talent.
It's something many others are pursuing. According to the Department of Labor, Gen Z made up 18% of the skilled trades workforce in the first quarter of 2024. The teacher who supervises these students says he's personally seen an overall increased interest among his students.
Last year, a student was walking down and some guy drove by. He's like, "You want a job? You got tools, let's go." We've had a lot of people say it's been really good for them.
And for students like Sam, it's as much about the interest as it is about the current cost of living.
With the tariffs and everything getting even more expensive, it just doesn't make sense to go to college. When you can get an apprenticeship that pays almost the same and you don't go into debt for it.
West Des Moines is closer to its fundraising goal for a new natural park. The big donation that's getting construction going next.
This is Local 5 News. We are Iowa.
The Urbandale Food Pantry is marking 1 month in its new facility with an increasing need for food assistance. Since opening on April 1st, the pantry has served more than 2,000 families. There have also been more than 5,000 visits to its new Anytime room. It gives out food the pantry collected from local grocery stores and other partners. A grant from Hy-Vee will help West Des Moines develop the Legacy Woods recreational area. The project's goal is to transform the old Nazarene Church campsite into a new outdoor sanctuary. The $250,000 from Hy-Vee will go towards building a natural playground.
It's really focused on incorporating into the local landscape, and it's just another way to think of play, of not your standard cookie cutter playgrounds. And so just providing children with new opportunities to enjoy nature.
The natural playground will be part of phase 2 of the project. The city estimates it will need to raise about $600,000 for construction. Well, Casey's is yielding to its customers and bringing back a fan favorite. What's returning to the menu for a limited time only next.
All right, here we go with this look. We're not tracking the big time storm systems here. We're tracking the nuances because the pattern is so backed up right now. That's about all we can track in an otherwise quiet looking 10-day forecast.
Well, for fans of Casey's Pizza, the chain says it's bringing back a highly requested item, the barbecue brisket pizza. Casey's announced the decision on Facebook with some humor and a side of ranch. It said, quote, "Thanks to your DMs, TikToks, and general unhinged barbecue devotion, we're officially bringing it back." Casey's confirms it will be returning, but only for a limited time. So if you want that pizza, go get it now before you forget, and then it's not there anymore.
In Casey's, you know, we're always hungry here.
Always.
We got plenty of room.
Feel free to bring some.
Big pizza fans here. Breakfast pizza fan too. So
put that barbecue on the breakfast pizza.
There's
Let's
a new
go.
idea. We'll see you tomorrow.